see everyone here. I need approval of the minutes from our September meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes that anybody wants to make? If not, I would ask for approval by saying aye.
Aye.
And anybody not? Okay. Next, I need approval of the agenda with one modification. We're going to put our teacher reps first. They have parent-teacher conferences that they're going to get back to. So before our student reports, we're going to put in the teachers, otherwise as is. Dr. Brown? Okay, so I need approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any public comments that anybody received? No. Moving on. So here's where, instead of our student report, I will ask our 3 middle school teachers, Marta, Autumn, and Ellen, if you want to come up and just you can take those black chairs there. There is a mic, so you'll be heard, and you can talk about anything you'd like.
Right, hi everyone. I'm Ellen Willrett. I teach 8th grade, 8th grade Spanish at the middle school. So sharing some celebrations from the WTA. One is that we want to celebrate that our schools have been doing quite a bit to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Glad to see that. Another one is that we appreciate flexibility with parent-teacher conferences, which we need to get back to. But doing them online has been really nice for us as teachers, and I think it's good flexibility for families as well, especially families that have multiple students and multiple teachers they want to see. So I appreciate that flexibility. And then last, we want to thank and recognize Kurt Ely for covering at Heritage recently.
Florida Rocco, 8th grade English and Social Studies. We'd also like to celebrate the fun runs taking place at some schools, some underground dress-up days at the intermediate school. With mismatched shoes, sounds fun to see kids do that in the hallway without a designated. And the inclusive homecoming freshman dinner to kind of take pressure off that event and make it fun for the freshmen.
I'm Autumn. I teach 8th grade English last year, and I moved on to 7th grade. So 7th grade this year. Sorry, I'm so used to saying 8th grade. We're excited to learn more about in-progress administrative conversations related to increasing efficiency of the district's complex transportation system, and also proposals for district-wide year-long PD opportunities, specifically around the use of AI in schools in the coming school year. That was really all the good stuff we had. Thank you.
Any questions for our WTA reps this month? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, good luck with the
appreciate your time.
Thank you for letting us go first. We appreciate it.
And now we will move on to our student reports. We have both Abigail and Elena here tonight. Come on up, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
We're going to start out with sports, which there's a lot going on right now, so we're just going to kind of touch on the key ones. Cross country has conference on the 18th, so that's this upcoming Saturday. Some other sports that are just going on right now are girls swim, football, cheer, boys soccer, dance team. And then as well, girls golf had their playoffs for state. The team themselves didn't qualify, but one individual is going to state, which is super cool. And then for tennis, they also have 3 different groups or individuals going to state as well. And then boys volleyball is still going on right now, and I believe there's a game for that tonight.
Moving on to clubs, Halloween in the Halls is on October 29th, and Student Council is running a blood drive. So if any of you want to sign up as well, there is information on Instagram and Facebook. We just really need more people.
And then FFA, every October gets a chance to go to National Convention, which is in Indiana. So we take a couple of kids that sign up, are like our most committed members, and we get to drive down there and stay with a bunch of other FFA members from all over the country, and it's a really cool opportunity. We have one member from Waunakee who graduated last year, but he's still eligible. He's competing at National Convention in a speaking contest And he's getting recognized for his SAE, which is his supervised agricultural experience as well. So that's a cool opportunity that Waunakee hasn't had in a while.
And then DECA and FBLA raised over $800 for MDA and NAMI at the Miracle Minute during the pep rally and the football game. And NHS is having many volunteer opportunities open to participants.
And then last weekend, Pay It Forward helped with Gilda's Run and Walk. They just volunteered helping out there. And then on the 19th, so this Sunday, they're also doing a Food for Kids fundraiser as well. And then moving on to some more school events, obviously homecoming was earlier this month. So that was a lot of fun. We had the dress-up days that had a lot of people participating. The pep rally's always fun. I wasn't able to make it to the speaker, but I heard he was very interesting and different than what we've heard before, which is cool. And then also something cool that happens every homecoming is the band hosts 8th graders at the football game to play with them, and they kind of get to teach them what high school band looks like. And then also something I know a lot of people were talking about was how homecoming was an hour earlier this year. Me personally, I think I liked it better just because I liked the earlier time. I haven't heard too many like bad reviews. I think a lot of people just kind of went with the flow and
The
worked out
dance
well.
part was an hour earlier.
Yes.
When did it
Yeah.
start?
It started at 7 and went to 10. It usually starts at 8 and goes to 11. Yeah. And then as well, I think it was 2 weeks ago, choir, the Sonoro group, which is the higher level choir, went to sing for the seniors at the senior center during their choir class, which a lot of them really enjoyed, and it was a good time.
And then pre-AC testing was last week, so we all got to spend some time doing that.
And as well, this is something that's upcoming more in the future. Drama Club and Choir are wanting to plan a trip to Chicago. We, in the past, have done a trip to New York over spring break, but we just haven't had the numbers to make that possible. And so we wanted to have some sort of trip dedicated to theater, and Chicago is the area we're shooting for right now. And yeah, we're just hoping to get all that stuff finalized, so hopefully make that a set in stone plan.
And then there are visits from college reps during contact times going on, and seniors are applying for scholarships currently.
Yearbook has also already started working on the yearbook for next year, which I know a lot of people have talked about, already making the pages for it. As well, a lot of the ecology classes are getting to go on field trips to a lot of nature reserves, which I just wanted to mention that because I know it's a very involved class that a lot of people really enjoy, like actually getting to do that hands-on learning. And then the last thing we have is One Act is performing this Saturday. It's in Waunakee. We're hosting districts this year. We actually have 2 One Act plays. Our first play performs at 9 a.m. That one's called Oscar. And our second play performs at 11:30 a.m. So they're both in the high school PAC. They're about 40 minutes on each. And yeah, and DeForest performs in between. So if you want to see some good shows, it's a fun opportunity.
Perfect. Any questions for our students? Thank you very much. You always cover such a nice range of activities. You really do. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
All right, moving on to our Warrior Spotlight. I've lost my place going out of there. There we are, Warrior Spotlight. I'll turn that over to Dr. Brown.
Yes, we have 2 amazing students here with us today. Come on up, members of Future Educators Club and Best Buddies. Rebecca, you already have it pulled up. So if you would introduce yourself and then you can take it away.
Okay, hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dominic. I'm a senior this year. I'm one of the officers for Future Educators Club. I'm also an education youth apprentice at the Waunakee Intermediate School, so I get to work there every other day and get some experience working with a math interventionist. Plans for next year, I'm hoping to go to UW-Madison to study math and Spanish education. So yeah, I'm talking about Future Educators Club. This is our 4th year as a club, and we have 45 members this year. We meet once a month usually during contact time, and our advisors are Ms. Biermeyer and Ms. Dewar. We have a lot of wide range of student experiences and interests. So we have some other youth apprentices who are working at the like elementary schools and getting their experience that way. But we also have students who are interested in like becoming like school social workers and other professions in schools, which is really cool. Some of the things that we do, we do like college tours.
What are we doing on Wednesday?
Yeah, we're going to Stout on Wednesday for an event called Teach Day, so we kind of get to connect with other students and learn about some of the other professions in education. In the past, we did a school supply fundraiser, and we also had different guest speakers come in and speak about their experiences, which is really cool. I guess one thing that I wanted to say is like, overall, we're definitely having pretty big impact on our school. I hear from like teachers all the time that they're constantly looking for more good teachers to be part of our school community. So it's cool to see so many different students as a part of our club. And for me personally, I think the biggest impact is getting to like connect with other people, because we've kind of created a space where we can all kind of get to know each other and I guess just be united as educators. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? That's about all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Lily Binder, and I'm a sophomore this year. I'm a communications officer for Best Buddies, which we started 3 years ago with the support of Miss Murray and Miss Logan. Best Buddies is really important because it helps students learn to connect with those who have special needs, also known as friends. We have meetings every Friday during contact time. Our advisors are Miss Biermeyer and Miss Dewar. We play games and we do crafts in a friendly environment. I joined this club last year as a freshman, and I really love how optimistic and how much a sense of a community it is. And I think it's really important because it's such a welcoming group. Through Best Buddies, I've learned how to work with students who have special needs. I get to communicate with nonverbal students by picking up small amounts of sign language, learning how to read messages off their talking devices, and use different other methods to help them make decisions. I really enjoy meetings that have games and sidewalk chalk because I get to know our friends better through these fun, chill activities. My favorite memory is making flower pots for Mother's Day last year because I got to see their creativity through a thoughtful gift for their mothers. This is a great opportunity for students to know others who are different from them. And this is such an important skill to learn to interact with those with special needs, because this can make everyone feel welcome now and later on in life. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Best Buddies, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Two really wonderful presentations. I mean, it warms my heart to know that those things are happening in our high school. So thank you for sharing. Anybody have any questions for either of our speakers?
I just want to congratulate you for what you're doing for your fellow students and becoming goal set to help out in education down the road. It's awesome to have some of our students really passionate about that, so thank you very much.
So as you've learned more about the broader field of education, are you thinking a teacher or are you thinking more administrator? Where's your thoughts?
Joe, take your resume.
I just want to keep a tab
I
on
want
you.
to teach high school. I'm hoping to study math and Spanish. I work with 6th graders right now for my apprenticeship, which is, a good opportunity, but I think I want to work with older kids.
It has its advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Very cool. It's just cool that you're kind of looking at the whole broad spectrum of what's possible out there. Cool.
All right. Well, Dominic and Lily, as a token of our appreciation for you all coming this evening,
And your advisors, thank you.
thank you all for coming.
We now have over 70 members in Best Buddies.
Wow.
3 years ago when we started, we were under 20.
Wow.
So now we have 70.
In 2 years.
Yep.
Wow.
And if you're interested, Adaptive Sports League has their final home soccer game on Thursday night at home at 5:30 against Middleton. They're super fun games. Super fun games.
Cool, very cool.
Sarah, could you just talk about how you've seen the climate change within the high school?
Sure. So I really loved to see how the best buddies, our buddies have really helped our friends, our regular ed kids, are what we call our buddies, and then our special ed peers are our friends. And throughout it, especially just last week, I saw kids saying hi to all of my students where they normally wouldn't, and it just is really promoting more inclusion and more sense of togetherness, and that's a lot because of Liliana and because of all of the other buddies that are coming and making those conscious efforts to include our kids. Come out at lunchtime and they sit at the tables with our students. Our students used to just be grouped at 3 tables. Now some of them have moved off to other areas, and their peers are always saying hi to them, helping them to classes. We have a couple friends that get stuck and they don't want to quite get to classes, and some of their buddies have come in to help motivate them to, come on buddy, let's go. And it's just really changed the culture a lot to be much more welcoming and inclusive.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much for sharing with us this evening.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay for our whole meeting.
Can I get my homework done?
Yeah.
They got work to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to board reports and actions this evening. I know there have been some events this month. Do you want to do
Yes.
the you have,
WSB. So I would like to, is it 2 weeks ago? It was myself, Chris, Joan, Mark, and Tim.
Tim?
Yes. We all attended the Region 12 WASB recognition in Sun Prairie. September 30th was the exact date. Again, this is Region 12. And we have 2 of our very own board members who were recognized that evening. First, I'll start with Dawn Heinrichs. Congratulations, Dawn. You have achieved level 1 in the WASB School Board Member Recognition Program. And essentially what happens here is points are awarded to school board members for attending or participating in various WASB programs and events. So whatever those events were, Dawn, we thank you for continuing.
I think it's those,
the online training?
no, what she does at the state convention.
The delegates?
Oh, you're the delegate. Yeah,
She's been a
okay.
delegate 2 years.
All right, awesome, that's fun, right?
Yeah. It's an experience, isn't it?
So thank you, Dawn, and congratulations. And then secondly, Joan Enzyme was recognized. Joan has achieved level 4. And again, recognizing board members for points awarded to school board members for participating in various WASB programs and events. And Joan had the opportunity to attend on September 30th. So congratulations to Joan and Dawn. Thank you, and the best is yet to come for the work that we have to do. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was on the 30th. That evening, I also had the opportunity to do the pre-conference, which was on attendance, led by our very own Randy Gutenberg, which a lot of districts struggling with many of the same things that we have heard. So there were some nice strategies that were presented. So I like that opportunity. So with that, anybody want to share things that they were able to do this month? I want to say thank you to Heather for bringing out our representative
Yes.
jurors for last Friday, attended the Best Buddies. I was able to pop in for a while. Mark was there for a while. Carly was there, Dr. Brown. So that was such a you know, what they said tonight, we saw in practice. I mean, you saw the kids and the smiles and the friendships. They were just evident and there, and it was moving, yeah. All right, anything else in this category? If not, moving on to the idea of board coaching. So we've looked at Ted, and we have his cost in there for 3 90-minute sessions. I guess before we go down and we embark on that $3,000 cost, we kind of look at the dates, and the dates are all next year after our election in spring, and we know that there's always the opportunity of change on the board. I don't know if we want to, commit now, if we want to think about this, or if there's any other source we might have for coaching other than Ted. And I know he comes highly recommended. I would love to stay with him, but are there other opportunities that might fit better in our schedules than what we've been able to find?
And you're saying before the election?
Yeah.
Is that what you were?
Well, to do it more immediately with this board, and maybe it's just okay to wait and plan it for.
So that's the only question I had with what I saw here for tonight. I thought the calendar had multiple dates spread throughout the school year, and so was this,
So
were these picked up?
the original poll I sent out, he had one date in February and everything else was in May and June.
Okay,
Then he eliminated, well, actually, he had a December date. He eliminated the December date, he eliminated one of the May dates. So basically, all
so
what
it's
is
really his
left.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's his
okay.
schedule. And to keep in mind, if you do want him,
His schedule.
Gotta move fast.
his schedule fills really fast.
So
So
maybe we have to take these dates and just know it's
it's going to be a different board.
for whatever board is here next year, if that's the desire.
And I will say, as a new board member this year, like that would have been a month into our new members' time on the board. Like I wouldn't have felt prepared to be coached. And I understand that like
Good comment.
it kind of is, it is what it is, but I don't know that that is particularly useful timing if we do have new members on the board.
So if we're looking at that as a consideration, might we want to look at later, throughout the school year, next fall, winter, spring?
And totally eliminate these
And go out even
options
further.
and go out to like maybe next year.
And he did say he could go out further, and that's what I was saying.
And that's a good comment.
No, it
Khalid.
is.
I had not thought about that, is the newness is, we have the change, but then the newness may not be an appropriate
We hadn't
time.
even done our orientation stuff at that point.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe looking next fall might be more appropriate.
And it's this board that has been able to engage in the reading. So that will, if we decide to stay with this, even if it's just providing high-level overviews of like what we learned, what the previous board learned from this, to shed light and share information, like actually our own board PD, right? Here's what we learned from reading this book. Here's what we will apply from reading this book, but educating our new board members on what the lessons learned were or are, and what we will apply or what you will apply in this book would be helpful. So sort of twofold, in waiting to the fall
Yeah.
and providing time to bring them up to speed on this.
Yeah, it makes sense to wait till the fall,
Okay.
like after school starts.
All right.
So,
Take a vote.
What I would ask if you're saying you want to go with Ted, but look at his fall schedule, I would ask that you guys make a motion to accept him, because you hadn't done that yet.
Okay, correct. So the cost is there, $3,000 for 3 90-minute meetings. If we're on board for doing that, I would need a motion for that. And then we won't approve those dates, but we'll look for something starting in September and maybe once a month for September, October, November seems reasonable. So I would need a motion for that.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Okay, great. So Rebecca, you'll get some new dates? Thank you very much. The other thing that we've talked about for the last 2 meetings is the adoption of a new administrative performance evaluation, the DAPES model. And I think we're ready to move on that if the board is in agreement. I personally like the fact that there'll be an ongoing record for current and future boards to have access to in the performance category of the superintendent. It's something we have not had, and I think that it will align itself with the evaluations of other administrators in our district, so.
I guess my question is, with the fee base, how often do we need to go to the whole package when we have new board members coming on? Or is that part of the
For the dates?
annual thing, or do we have to contract them to help bring the new board members on board with using it? And so does this really become an annual fee?
My experience, yes, to answer your question, it would be an annual fee unless you as board members feel as though you're apprised enough or have enough information to be able to share that information with new board members. So this is sort of a, I would say, buffet style. You can take the parts that you want. If you feel like now it does take some time to become versed in this new platform, I will say. There's a lot to learn in the platform initially, but once you learn it, then you're really in a good place. So if you feel comfortable at that point to be able to convey the message to the new board members, and that's not a fee we would have to take on. However, if not, then the obvious is we would want someone from CISA to support board members in that process. So it totally would be up to how you feel, how versed you feel as board members. Now it's already October. We're halfway through October already. So just consideration for that by the time we get up to April. What are you talking, 6 months at that point? So just consider that moving forward. And certainly I'm familiar with the tool. I think the essential piece of the tool that's really, really helpful is the coaching that's provided when you're going through the tool to see what my artifacts and evidence are that I've uploaded, and a coach helping guide that process for you to stay within I'm going to use the word guardrails, it just came out of the book, but to stay within the parameters and confines of the standards that district administrators are asked to be responsive to. So that's how I would respond to that.
Thank you.
Mark, yeah, you're welcome.
Will we have trouble getting on their calendar at this point for the coaching that we need?
We can follow up and tomorrow or Monday this week and ask. I'm not sure what their schedule. It's a good question, but I'm not sure what their schedule looks like. We can follow up.
Well, are we ready to move in this direction? Anybody want to make a motion to move in this direction?
If you, I would just say if you want to give it some, well, we've given it some thought already.
We
It's-
have,
it's-
but I mean, you make a good point. We are already mid-October, and we should be engaging in that first evaluations, by December, because the renewal date for administrators is January. I mean, it's like, maybe it's another thing, we use our current tool and we do this, we start it in a more timely fashion and do it next year. But, I mean, that's just going through my brain. We have a lot of trouble getting on people's calendars, and now we're a month and a half away from trying to get this underway.
I'd be okay waiting.
All of you have experienced the tool we currently use. I know it's really subjective, but at least we have that experience, and we could take some time in advance of filling it out. If you have questions, we could give you the tool early. One thing we could do is take some time in closed session for people to be able to ask questions if you are unsure of, who really is doing this in our district and what has happened in this category in our district. I mean, we can reframe how we use that tool and hopefully make it more meaningful and, have some direction from Dr. Brown. I mean, really, it's
meaningful. Now, I think it's meaningful. I think maybe more objective is maybe the direction to,
yeah.
to move in or to think about. Which I agree with you, asking me questions or asking for whatever you need to ask for in that space to substantiate your rating could be the next step in that process, if you so choose.
Am I remembering correctly that the rest of the administration is already using a similar tool?
Yes,
They're
we're
just
piloting,
just
but
starting that,
so
okay.
we're all new, or cabinet, central office staff, we're all new in it as well. So we'll be going through our ebb and flows, getting used to it, and understanding the tool as well.
And is it CISA 6 that does that as well?
Yes.
So do we have any experience on like scheduling and coaching that we can draw on from that? Or not yet?
No, because that's between me, well, so far it's been between me and the
Okay,
administrators. But
so there hasn't
Brian-
been any sort of like direct interfacing with CISA 6 for coaching?
Brian.
So the COPES model, it's COPES, central office, somewhat different in that I'm not sure that they provide the
Okay.
same level of training. Like everything they've given us for training is a recorded training that, is kind of, I guess I would say like out of the box, right? And so in our fees are more inclusive. I suspect it's because boards can come from so many different perspectives that, they offer this additional training as opposed to kind of school personnel tend to have a little bit
That
more
makes
of a
sense.
focused experience with evaluation models. So it is different. Similar structure, but, so there would be some ability to relate what we're doing to what Dr. Brown could be doing in this. But somewhat different, obviously, based on the role changes.
Thank you, Brian.
So Ted is comfortable waiting. Anybody else?
I guess I have a question. So we started talking about this 4 months ago, right? About going down this road. Our subsequent discussions were that we were interested in doing it because we wanted a tool that was objective, that can help Dr. Brown provide some accountability, right? So my question is, has those needs changed? Or is it
No.
just the concern about timing?
Timing, and I think last time it was, people wanted to see the cost of it all and a little bit more of the rollout plan. No, I don't think any of it has changed, Chris, in my mind.
Okay, because the counter to that is, if we agree to embark upon this, even if we were to wait, right, if we're concerned about the timeline, I think part of it is making a decision, right, if this is a tool, right? The timeline is one piece to it, right, but the need for an objective tool that bidirectionally helps accountability, I don't think changes.
I agree with that. When we started looking at this, even before Dr. Brown came on board, I felt our tool for evaluating a superintendent didn't have a lot of direction, and it was so, it could be so interpreted differently by every single board member, and there was no cohesive discussion about what the items in that tool were and applied. We had the same kind of discussion when Randy was sitting there, and he would take one closed session and kind of help us out a little, because it was difficult, because it was comments about budget. Well, we know Steve primarily does the budget, but ultimately our superintendent oversees all those little hats.
Sure.
It was trying to, and Dr. Brown is the one that mentioned this because that is what she used in India. So I thought, well, that would be a good fit, and then our other administrators were also,
My only point was, I don't think the need changed,
No,
right?
it
From
didn't
where we
change.
wanted to what you're looking for, I think your points are 100% correct and valid, right? It's just whether we want to commit to this,
now
right?
or.
And even if we committed to it, and if we feel that the runway's too short, then maybe we commit to it, but then we look to institute it.
And that's
next
a good
year, right?
idea. If it is a tool that we feel would be valuable, and I see a lot of things in it that I think could help grow an administrator, and I think that's part of our responsibility in evaluation is to, evaluation should grow that and do that in general, grow people. So, I like that idea of maybe it's too short for what we need to do because of the commitment of time, but I do like the tool. So you could make that motion.
Yeah, I would make a motion for us to adopt this tool, but to wait until our next evaluation cycle to implement and institute it.
Second.
All right, any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, thank you.
So
for
with that in mind, would
clarification.
it be ideal then to get that training from May through August
That's a good point.
For this tool.
for this
yes.
tool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rebecca, maybe you can look in on that. And, that would be excellent to have it pre the start.
Because
of
that
the
way we're
school
not
year.
double training, and
Yeah.
obviously we should be running with it by the end of the summer if we're
We
going to
should.
use it next year.
And that gives the administrator time to, it's a
Right.
big job on her part too, to upload the artifacts that help support all of the parts. You're good with all that? Okay, perfect. Thank you for that discussion. Moving on to committee reports, starting with curriculum committee. I know that there weren't any action items. Any comments on the curriculum committee that anybody wants to make?
Well, essentially, Chris covered that earlier this evening, but if you have not looked at the minute meetings, there's a PowerPoint that covers the assessments, and there were improvements across the board, which is great to see, but if you haven't seen it, gives you a pretty good snapshot on how we've done all the spring testing.
Good.
Yeah, honestly, Tim and Amy did a great job presenting the information in a clear, concise manner from both, primary and secondary standpoint. I think we mentioned it earlier, the point that I liked is utilizing this as kind of like a first data point to see where we're trending. Also, some of the work that was done with the Heritage team, I think is really impressive to see the increase in their scores, how they went up, year over year. So it was a good presentation, good information. So if you haven't, I'd recommend looking at it.
Good advice. Thank you. Moving on to the facility committee. Steve, can I turn that to you?
Yes, Joan, thank you. So there is an action item tonight coming out of the facility committee. That was a request for approval of capital maintenance requests. I do want to mention that the facility committee did request additional information on 2 items. One of them we did attach here that I'll ask John to come up and just review. So John, if you wouldn't mind just popping up here for a moment. And then the second one was an email that John had sent out on the basketball hoops technology. There was questions about the technology used to operate the basketball standards. So John did forward that out to the committee. And so on the robotic mowers, Rebecca, would you mind opening up that final attachment? And John, would you mind just sharing what the board members are looking at here?
Not at all, thanks. So on the left, I listed all the sports fields that we currently mow, and of course we do everything manually. There's a driver for each of those currently, so. And then the bottom section of this sheet shows the school buildings themselves, which you can see the school buildings under the underlined and bold robot rear of building, manned front of building. So what that part means is this could potentially be the autonomous mower at the rear of the building in the large play fields, and we would continue to do a manned or man-operated mowing at the front of the building. So that's the lower half of that sheet. So what we did on these was looked at the duration of our current mowing with our 12-foot mowers. The first column shows 2 runs, so we typically do 2 runs, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, depending on the length of the grass, how fast it grows. We have had a great growing season this year. So this data is just showing 2 runs, and we do that 3 times per week, typically on our sports fields, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the second column shows additional mowing on a riding mower, trimming, push mowing, typically 1 time per week, listing the number of hours. And then the third column is showing what a 5-foot autonomous mower would take, just about twice the amount of time because of the width of that mower, so 5 foot versus 12 foot. But it's faster and more efficient, so it's about twice the amount of time for the autonomous mower. And then the same type of data can be applied there at the bottom half of the sheet in the school buildings, outside the school buildings. The autonomous mowers would be used, again, in column 3. It would take a little bit longer, but it would allow us to utilize the existing staff in other areas of the buildings that have been lacking outside, allowing us to do extra work outside, extra mowing and medians and weed whacking and pulling weeds and flower beds and bushes, and I could keep going. So it would really be a savings with the man hours. And Rebecca, if you could scroll down a little bit more, please. The second sheet is showing the total mowing value at the bottom there is really the cost of what the autonomous mower would look like in place of a human. So if we're to say $66,481 worth of human time is what the autonomous mower would get us back in 1 year. So we calculated the hours out.
Interesting.
And let's see, any questions on that?
So just to make sure I heard you right, your ROI would be 1 year? Based on the hours they're saved?
So this is an approximation,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna replace a human.
Right.
So it's not a one-for-one, but if we were to look at, kind of.
So,
Soft yes, yeah,
Yes.
gotcha, okay.
you're asking for 28,000 versus 22,000? It says 22 allocated, 28 requested.
Previously, this is an additional 28.
Okay, so,
Yeah, so 50,000.
and that savings, though, isn't really going to be a savings because you're going to be reallocating that amount to ongoing work in different areas.
That's correct.
And so what I saw on the first page is it was about 50-some hours of mowing with the robotic mower. And
Right.
so we approved one. Where will you use that one? I mean, you won't assign all 56 hours to that one machine.
Column 3 will be where we would assign the machine. We'll absolutely
really?
do the sports
You
fields
will-
and the school buildings.
You will do all of it with the robotic one?
The 56.2 hours
Yeah,
is the goal.
okay. That'll be an interesting report back in a year.
I agree.
Nice.
So Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind bouncing back to the request, please. So if you could pull open the first attachment, please. So in the first attachment, you do see the requests that were brought in front of the facility committee this month. We were just referencing the autonomous mower. The 22,000 did reference that earlier. John had requested approval of the committee, but did not move forward with the purchase because did not believe the technology was sufficient at that time. So held on it until we brought it back recently, which was the last committee meeting. You do see the other items that were brought forward. The largest expenditure is really the bottom one, where the committee had asked for some additional information on the technology related to operating the basketball hoops, but the equipment that's being replaced was original to the field house when it was built, which was with the 2004 referendum, so it's approaching 20 years worth of use, very heavy use. The committee did request that we tighten up the process as far as who raises and lowers the standards compared to what has been happening in the past. So we did talk about that at the committee level. But the recommendation was to move forward with the approval with the 2 additional pieces of information that were requested.
Any questions? If not, I would take a motion to approve that list.
Motion to approve the list.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, John. And thank you, Steve. Moving on to Budget Committee. Turn that over to Steve. Well, Mark, you want to turn it
I'll
over?
let Steve do it.
Thank you, Mark and Joan. So this is not an action item, but this is just a preview of the conversation that the Budget Committee has been having and the special board meeting at the end of this month, which is designed to approve the tax levy and budget for the 25-26 school year. So the committee over the last couple of meetings has discussed options to reduce the tax levy. As we've talked about before, the state budget threw a little bit of a challenge at school boards in Wisconsin in that the expendable resources were higher than has been seen in many years for state budgets. However, the local tax levy was going to be impacted because there was no funding added to state equalization aid. In our district's case, we had a bit of a what's called a double whammy in that the $325 per student was not funded through equalization aid, and we also received an estimate in July from the DPI that about $1.1 million in funds that we did receive the year before were being redistributed in the aid formula to other districts based on each district's varying economic factors in the state aid formula. So those two things together pushed our tax levy from a little over 6% pre-state budget to a little over 10% after the state budget. At the board workshop in August, the board expressed an interest in evaluating options to bring the tax levy back down to the 6% level. The budget committee did look at an option of refinancing existing debt to bring the levy down by $2 million. Mark did ask for an evaluation of other options as well, which would have included potentially the use of the $1 million check that the district received from reimbursement from the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as savings in the November 22 referendum. In working through this with our bond counsel, that's Quarles and Brady, what they are indicating is that the first move we would need to make financially would be to utilize equity or funds available within Fund 39, which is the debt service fund, to make all debt service payments for next April 1st. And then the board would have plenty of time in 2026 to decide whether or not you do want to refinance, whether you do want to use the $1 million from the IRS, or whether you want to use middle school project savings. So basically, the process would allow the board to have quite a bit more time to talk this through than what we were originally envisioning. So that's good news in that the board can evaluate a number of factors. In fact, even could wait till next July 1st to see what does the next state aid estimate look like for the 26-27 school year. So there's plenty of time for the board to evaluate this, which is good news. But we'll probably come back to this in the spring of 2026 and start reviewing it. But the bottom line is we do have options to consider. Administration will be bringing forward a budget proposal and tax levy at the end of this month that does revert the tax levy back to the amount considered in the second draft of the budget, which was down to the 6% range. And then, as you've heard from Dr. Brown, we're going to be sharing information with the community in November. A couple of times, you've already seen the date and the information that's gone out. So we're going to begin making sure that we do a better job this year of explaining the financial picture for the school district to the community. So we'll be looking forward to that opportunity next month. So no action at this time.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions? More to come. So moving on to administrative reports, starting with our third Friday count. We have gotten that information, but Steve, you probably want to say a few things.
Yeah, just an important item to note. We did review this with the budget committee. This is the official count that the DPI requires in the month of September. There's a second one in January. This count does officially put our district in what's called the declining enrollment exemption in the revenue limit. So I'm going to make sure at the special meeting we have at the end of the month, I show everybody what that means and what that looks like on the revenue limit formula. But basically it means that our student count average for the last 3 years actually has gone down from the student count from the previous set of 3 years. The challenge that we've had is the large number of graduating seniors and the small number of incoming kindergarten students. And for the first time in a long time, we basically didn't have the student enrollment filling in the gaps between grades 1 and 11 like we have historically had. So our estimates for enrollment were based on what we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years, which has been the gaps being filled in with the other grades, and that just didn't happen over the summer. So we did talk a little bit at the budget committee level about some of the economic issues that families are facing that certainly could be causing that. But the bottom line is we had a decline in enrollment. We're now officially declining enrollment, and it's a challenge that we're going to have to work through as we continue to evaluate our enrollment moving forward. And more information will be shared at the end of this month as far as what that actually means.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item is to consider again a vote on our branding guidelines. And do you want to chat about this first?
Yes, so just bear with me for a moment. I just want to see the dates where we had a series of discussions of what occurred on those dates. For your consideration to think about implementing district-wide branding guidelines as was set forth by the board in 2021 prior to my arrival. Is a step toward uniting our K-12 schools under one cohesive, professional, and student-centered identity that reflects the pride, excellence, and values of our entire learning community. A unified brand strengthens how students, families, staff, and community members connect with our district. It fosters a sense of belonging, which we have been working on, shared purpose, and again, collective pride. For students, this consistency helps build a stronger sense of identity and connection across all schools and programs, reinforcing that they are part of one district committed to their success from kindergarten through graduation. A clear and consistent brand also ensures every staff member representing our district conveys the same message of excellence, professionalism, and community pride. This initiative has been carefully reviewed and refined through multiple stages. It was approved by the co-curricular committee on March 31st, 3-0. However, did not pass at the April 14th regular board meeting. It failed 2-5, and was brought back for reconsideration at the request of a board member in either April or May of 2025. Most recently, at the August Board of Education workshop, 2 options were presented. The options are noted in your folders that are in front of you. You have this in your folder as a copy of what we experienced at the board workshop, if you want to review that. The district has invested approximately $500,000 in branding projects since 2021. It would be both fiscally responsible and strategically important to move forward with full implementation. Deciding upon and approving the branding guidelines as they have been set forth now ensures that our students, staff, and community move forward together. One district, one brand, one purpose. If you would take this, these are the options that were presented. The first option was, again, at the August workshop, we'll fully implement and use Board of Education approved branding guidelines district-wide with all our programs and activities, including staff representing the district on company time, appropriately noted in the revised handbooks based on the 3-0 co-curricular committee vote in April 2025, and the thought is to begin this January 1st. Option 2, at the workshop, the district will fully implement and use board-approved branding guidelines district-wide with all our programs and activities, including staff representing the district on company time, appropriately noted in the revised handbooks, based on the 3-0 co-curricular committee vote in April 2025, with the exception of personal attire beginning January 1, 2026. So tonight, the ask is for the board to decide on which one of these options you would like to put forth and move it to Joan to take a vote for the board. and we'll go from there.
So, I know that we have been down this road, and I don't want to rehash everything that has been said or talked about. We do have a couple of people on the board who were not here in April. I personally just want to say I approve and endorse all of the branding initiative, everything that has been done around this, and I think it has provided a consistent and a unified front and approach to what our school looks like. And I think we needed that because every single department and sports team were kind of spinning out of control and doing their own thing. So I so totally appreciate what we've done. There's two things I just can't agree with, and that is asking our administration to become close police. They have better and more needed things to do in their day to, instead of policing what clothes staff members are wearing. And two, if it's purchased by the school or a booster club, I agree, it has to be new, adopted, branded attire. But if it's sitting in their closet and they've spent money on it, their own personal money, I just don't feel right telling them they can't wear it. So that's my say. I think everybody should have an opportunity to weigh in on this before we take a motion.
I agree with that as well. And I think if you go back to the co-curricular approval in March 3.0, I don't think the personal attire was part of that approval because I don't think that vote would have gone that way. So it was introduced back in, but between that
I agree.
committee and then right to the regular board. So just want to make that distinction.
I just want to clarify that we're using the term personal attire here, still being worn while on the clock, paid representatives of the district. We're not, neither of these options is covering what people are wearing on their own time in whatever activities. If they're attending games on their own time, they're not a paid coach, paid representative of the district in that moment. That neither of these options apply to that. I don't want to rehash everything, but I fully support option one because my lived experience has been as a professional adult working at places that have dress codes. And while I have attended those workplaces, I'm expected to dress a certain way. And that includes branding because most of the companies I've worked for are CPG companies, and I've lived through branding changes at those organizations, and they had very similar policies. Oscar Mayer, we changed the brand. If you're going to go in front of customers, if you're going to be a representative of our district, or of our, as an employer, you need to wear the new branding. So I feel that number one is more consistent with other professional organizations outside the realm of education, but still in terms of branding and what representatives are presenting to the students.
And I think like what they're presenting to students is kind of the key thing for me. Like for me, it's not about what any adults want. Kids asked that the old logos go away. And we are here for the students. And so if students don't want to see the old logos, then that is the decision.
I would say not all students ask for them to go away. If I'm a coach of a team of a particular year where this was the one state, and I have that, and now we're going to go back again, I feel a little bit of pride in wearing that, and I'm going to be in trouble because I'm violating policy to come to the school to show. I mean, what are we afraid of? Are we scared of something that we represented ourselves, and now I can't show that history? We're going to run away from our history because of that? You can say that there's some that don't want that. There are more that want that. So.
It's a complex issue because this came from a community committee that was put together. It included former athletes, and they were unanimous in putting this branding concept forward. And one of the key issues was not being offensive to anyone by the imagery we projected. That being said, Saturday I was sitting in a bowling alley after a football program celebration, and a mom came up and said, "Look what I'm wearing." This is a 1998 conference state championship shirt that she got as a middle schooler. I didn't have any offensive imagery on it, but the designs weren't in line with her branding. So technically, even though that shirt would not be offensive to anybody, she could not wear that to class when she taught, when the team's going for the conference championship or the team's going to state. I don't see why that kind of a shirt should be excluded, because the spirit of the branding was to be unoffensive. I would argue that we could go with recommendation 2 with an amendment and put an add-on that as long as the personal attire does not include Native American imagery. Because there are a lot of those shirts that didn't have that. And so if we want to be with the spirit of the branding, that would do it. And would still keep our administrators from being close comps and creating adversarial relationships over something pretty insignificant. I asked prior to the meeting how many complaints we've had from students regarding this year. I didn't get an answer to that, but I don't believe it's a large number, but again, in the spirit of the branding, if it's one, it's one too many. But as long as you don't have the Native American imagery on it, I don't see why we would need to tell people you can't wear your old shirt because you're proud of what happened 20 years ago. And in time, 5, 10 years, those shirts are going to be gone anyways, because those people have
It will
retired.
have a natural death, and I think we, personally, I would like it to have its natural death.
I just want to be clear on that we're not asking administrators to police clothes. That sounds as if they're going from classroom to classroom to see what individuals are wearing, and in no way that's just not a reasonable ask. When you see it, you can be responsive to it, though.
And also, just to be explicitly clear to Mark's point, no one is policing anyone from wearing this to sporting events, right? No one's going to be stopping people at a football game and baseball.
Supervising.
Correct, right? But that's the key piece as well, right? That's same, heard a lot of people voicing concerns of, because frankly, those materials are still being produced. I saw a brand new item just the other day myself, right? But a lot of concerns I've heard as well was people saying, well, is there going to be people checking these at sports events? And that's not the case. The only concern that I have is, just to put it out there, is I have concerns about a divisive board vote on this, especially taking away from our number one goal and objective, right? I think to our point, we need to have either an amendment or something where we can all align on this and vote cohesively. Because I think if we're splitting it, if it's a close vote, I'd be concerned about what that message is as well, right? I think we're close and we're both, right? I agree 100% to what Dawn said about the great work that was done, making sure that all of the feedback from students and staff members in the process is noted. To Joan's point as well about the branding guide is great, and a lot of investment, to your point, Dr. Brown, was put into it. My only concern is that I know personally, I feel we all have to be in support of it.
the discussion changed from a cohesive representation of the district, that logo, to one particular logo that is offensive. So I mean, to your point, the amendment would still be going against, I mean, I guess I can go with that. It's still representing a part of the history that I can't say you can't wear that. So.
I guess I could live with an amendment which stated, as is, but the personal attire can't have the Native American imagery. Because I do think that is offensive to some people. But all the other different W's, why would we go down that road?
I almost feel like we should have brought someone in from marketing to talk about how important brand value is and why.
Dawn, in your experience, did you have to buy the clothing?
Yes.
You personally had to buy?
Yes.
The changeover?
There's a company store where you buy it through it. Yeah, it's online. Now, did you have to wear logo clothing? No, you did not have to wear branded clothing. But if you're going to wear branded clothing, it had to be the latest.
Same for my husband who works for a Fortune 500 company, went from one brand to another. They buy their own, but we don't have to wear it.
All right, well, anybody else want to make a comment, or is there anybody who would like to put forth a motion? And I agree with you, Chris, it would be nice to be more unified, but, you know, because sometimes we're not. And I think we have to own that too.
I'd like to make a motion for my proposal. Statement 2 with the amended language that as long as the personal attire does not include Native American imagery.
I could second that. Any comments? So that is the motion on the table.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If this motion were to fail, is there procedurally the opportunity to introduce a different motion related to this?
Sure.
Yes. I'm just going to use the back of this. I'm going to do a voice. Vote. Okay, so we are voting on Mark's motion.
In addition to it, on the flip side, it's approved and there is no policing of it, what's the consequence?
I'm saying policing in the manner, policing.
Administrative isn't policing, sure. They're not responsible for having to do that, but what are the consequences, I guess?
So we would follow our same progressive disciplinary measures we would with any other infraction that a staff member engages in, as defined by policy in our handbooks.
This is a very unsatisfying answer, but it depends, right? I mean, each disciplinary situation is unique, and the circumstances are unique. I mean, progressive discipline means that you start at the lowest appropriate level and seek to resolve it there before it advances to more significant consequences. So that's an answer, but it doesn't give clarity, but that's the closest I can come based on the circumstances.
All right, so there is a motion and a second, so I'm going to take a voice vote. Heather? No. Ted?
No.
Carly?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
Chris?
No.
Dawn?
No.
Myself, yes. So that failed. there any other motion that anybody would like to bring?
I'd like to motion to move forward option 1.
Seconded.
Okay. Writing on it, but I know what option 1 is. So there is a first and a second. Any comments before we take the vote on that? Okay, Heather.
Yes.
Ted.
No.
Carly.
Yes.
Mark.
No.
Chris.
No.
Dawn.
Yes.
And myself, no. So we have 4 noes and 3 yeses, so that does not pass either.
So we remain as we are.
So now what we'd like to do?
We remain as we are. And, you know, unless somebody has another motion they want to bring forward. If not, I think we keep the status quo, and if, at some point, if somebody wants to bring it back with different wording or a different message, they could. Okay?
Thank you.
Moving on to, we have our administrative presentation. I think we have Rick coming up. Good evening, Rick.
Thanks for inviting me up this evening. Just gonna do a little information technology report, just talk a little bit about what we've got going on, about the team, and some things that we have on the horizon. Just do a brief introduction, let you know a little bit about myself and my technology background, as well as background with the school district. We'll cover our IT team, technology roles, safety and security technology that we use in the district, and then finish up with some technology roles. A little bit about me. I graduated from UW La Crosse, had a double major in marketing and management information systems. And it took me about 10 minutes to realize I didn't want to do sales, so I went the IT route. No offense to anybody that is in sales, that just wasn't for me. Prior to that, I actually went to UW Washington County in West Bend. That was affectionately known as Cow Pie High, which unfortunately no longer exists. It became part of UW Waunakee for a little while, but I think in the last year or two, they actually closed the campus completely down. I began my career in IT in 1995, working for a private company, Wisconsin Reinsurance Corporation, which unfortunately they went out of business 2 or 3 years ago. Not sure what that says about me now. It's been the 2 places that no longer exist. I joined the district in 2014, started out as network administrator, managing the server infrastructure as well as all of our Google administration. I moved into the role of network engineer a few years later, managing the infrastructure, doing network management and planning. And then in 2021, most recently, I took over my new role of director of technology, working with leading the team and the technology in the district. A little bit about our team. So there are 10 of us. We have 3 building techs, Bob Teets, Skylar Bauer, and Cassie Stager. They cover the school buildings. So they're kind of the first level of support for staff and students. They're kind of at tier 1 with support, as well as getting technology set up for staff and students in the buildings, and they share buildings. And then we have our district technicians, Levi Nelson, Hoon Burrell. Hoon just joined us this summer. Happy to have him with us, and they're actually both here doing our streaming tonight. Hoon's doing some training. Brian Berger is our 3rd district tech. So the district techs are kind of our level 2 or tier 2 support. The building techs, when they run into issues that they need additional assistance with, they'll escalate it up, and they'll also work with them on other projects. They also, the district techs, kind of are assigned to a couple schools to help support on days the building techs aren't there, but they are district-wide techs, and they also help support the district office as well. Taylor Hoig is our network administrator, handles our camera system, clock bell and PAs, access entry, server management, a number of other network areas. And Chavez Thomas is our network engineer, handles all our network infrastructure, security, a lot of our cybersecurity efforts that we have in configuring and planning those out. Sherry Shai is my admin assistant, our IT budgetary assistant. She works with me a lot on our IT budget, organizing that. One benefit, Sherry actually was a building tech for a number of years, so she does have that school and IT background, that technology, so she's able to help us support us as well at the network center, which is located at the high school. When other people are distributed and we need a little extra assistance, Sherry can step in, so very valuable. And then I'm Director of Technology, overseeing the technology for the district. A little bit about the roles and how we support the district. We provide technology support for over 650 staff members and 4,350 students, so roughly 5,000 staff members we support with a team of 10. We've got a pretty good structure in place to help do that. You don't see a lot of private companies that size with staff our size. Oftentimes they'll have specialists, like one person that does network switching, one person that does Wi-Fi, one person that does phones, and do a number of different things. And the other way that we kind of supplement that is we do have some partners we work with that will help us if we have a certain expertise that we're looking for that we either don't have or just something we don't have the depth of. We'll engage them on certain projects. We do support a one-to-one student environment. All of our kindergarten through second grade do one-to-one iPads, which are stored in carts in the classroom. The 3-4s are Chromebooks, one-to-one as well. They also have them in carts in the classroom. And then starting in 5th grade with the intermediate students, they have Chromebooks one-to-one that they take home. So 5 through 12 are Chromebooks one-to-one that they take home. We have over 40 servers that we manage, 300 plus cameras, 300 plus clock speakers, 150 switches, 10 routers, and over 300 wireless access points. So we have a lot of hardware that we support to help support the infrastructure for the district. We provide student filtering and endpoint protection, which we are required to by SIPA, as well as endpoint protection for the entire district, including staff, of course. We support over 100 systems and many data integrations. We utilize, for example, our student information system, Infinite Campus, will integrate with other systems so that we're not having to duplicate data or manually enter things. So we maintain and administer those as well. We manage software that supports our security systems, and I'll talk about that just a little bit here in a little more detail. And then, of course, more recently, technology planning for the new middle school. A little bit about our safety and security technology. A lot of this is the hardware that is supported by our SRP, or our Standard Response Protocol, that Dustin Leibnick talked about earlier this summer. We have video technology systems, as I talked about, over 300 cameras throughout the district. We do also have that integrated with the Waunakee Police Department. So in the event that we do have an incident, they are able to utilize our camera system to give them an extra set of eyes to assess what's going on if we do have an incident. We have door entry management system. It's tied to all of the badges that we carry. And we do really emphasize with staff, you need to have your badge with you and on you at all times. It's a key part of our safety and security. It identifies yourself, first of all, to other staff as well as students. And then it also limits access to the buildings, allows us to keep the buildings secure during the day when the students are here. Our high school students do have access badges as well that give them access to a limited number of doors at certain times. But they're the only students that have that access. Network clock, bell, and PA system is also part of our alerting system that we have at the schools now. It integrates sound as well as messaging to help with any alerting that we have. We have an IP phone system throughout the district, so it's easy to contact each other through extension, and it's also integrated with our safety system doing audio alerts as well as visual alerts. And it's all tied together with a lockdown alerting system that really brings all of these things together so that instantaneously we can send out all of these audible as well as messaging alerts, send out communication internally as well as externally, all at the same time to have a quick response in the event that it's needed for a lockdown or any type of serious event. We do have another student safety system that's separate, and that monitors our students' browsing, anything that they type on their computer and their browsing, and it analyzes for things like self-harm, bullying, violence, goes to their building administrator as well as to other support staff. So it helps us identify if there are students out there that are in need of additional support so that we can help them, or if there's potentially some type of conflict, whether it be between students. It helps us to address those things earlier and work with those students. We have a print management system that is also has a security side to it. It also has brought efficiencies to printing. I can, over at my office at the high school, send a print job, come over here for a meeting, scan my badge, and grab my printout over here so I don't have to haul things around. So it gives a lot of flexibility for printing throughout the district. And the big thing is securing those prints. So if you have personal information that you're needing, IEP or some type of report, you know that when you send it, no one can access that job other than yourself, either with your badge or by login. Content filtering is another thing that we're required to have. We have for students, just filtering of all web browsing, types of sites that can be visited and viewed. And then network security systems. It's also, we have a multi-tiered approach to securing the network from external exposures. But one other thing that I failed to put on here, I should also just discuss, is we have an entry management system as well for any visitors that come in. So the first time they come in, they're required to scan their ID, and then it does do background check against all 50 states, sexual offenders database, FBI watch list, and then we're also able to set up any custodial disputes that have legal documentation so that it alerts staff with any of those things. Once a visitor comes in and gets checked in, they only have to check in at one school and register, and they're good for the whole district. The next time they come in after that, just has to take a picture through facial recognition, and it'll tell if they're already registered. If not, it'll have them go through the process. Then finally, just kind of go through a few technology goals. One thing that I'm really trying to focus on, staff security assessment and training program, getting something in place. We did have the cybersecurity, I can remember the acronym, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. I don't know who's worse with acronyms, education or IT, but we had them come in. They do a free assessment. They did a security assessment for us and gave us some things to shore up and to improve upon. And one of the things that they talked about and brought up was having a formalized security training for staff. And one of the key areas really is phishing, is helping staff learn how to better identify that. It's just becoming more and more complex with the types of attacks that they do. And it's really important to understand what to look for and just to have those tools. We want to foster digital equity by providing all students and staff with access to purposeful and transformative learning technologies. We work closely with our ed tech specialist team. They're a great team to work with. They kind of bridge that gap between education and tech. And then also our teachers to really kind of assess what technology do they need in the classrooms to help them teach the best they can, as well as help our students to learn. Want to complete the current middle school building integration with the high school. We're working on making sure that we've got all of the communication and technology in place to kind of make that cohesive with the high school once the staff moves into the middle school. Continuing our 5-year budget plan to establish a regular staff renewal for hardware. This kind of got derailed a little bit with COVID and all the virtual learning and some additional funding that we had at the time. And kind of coming out of COVID, we had some challenges. I had to reallocate 25% of my budget. So that's made things a little more challenging in that. And that's why I've been doing things like trying to get grants. I did receive, I thought, a cybersecurity grant, which I was really hoping to utilize for that first item there. And then was supposed to find out how much in August, then they pushed it out to September, and now it seems that it's on hold altogether. So I'm hoping that once things settle down with the federal government, that will come through. But I'm going to continue to seek out other opportunities with grants to help supplement that technology budget. So that's about all that I had. Anybody have questions for me? I have my contact information up here. Any questions that anybody has? All right, feel free to contact me if you ever do it anytime.
Great job.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Wow, that department has grown.
Just a little.
All right, announcements and correspondence. So Rebecca has put in there first all call on the state convention. Registration opens November 3rd, so I think I saw a registration form in our folders. And she's always excited to get us registered and get some hotels set aside for us. So if you know you're able to go, please take care of that and get that to Rebecca. Rebecca, anything you want to add?
The registration and hotel reservation process is different this year. So I really need everybody's information to me by the end of October so I can be prepared for November 3rd.
Okay. Thank you. The school funding information session that Dr. Brown and Steve will be going is also in our folders, I believe, or I know it's online.
Yep, it's back here, flyer here. So the session will take place on November 19th, and we have two sessions, one in the AM and one in the PM. The first one is from 9 to 10 AM, and then the second one is from 6 to 7, right here at Bethel.
Right here, this
Yes,
room.
yes, right here in the boardroom.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. Moving on to consent agenda. There's quite a few things in here. I do want to point out our two gifts this month. We have $3,000 that is specifically earmarked for our food service program for the school district by Lake Melvin Yacht Club. So I appreciate that is a sizable donation. And again, we have our monthly Pride Pump donation from our Mefford Oil Company, and that is again $1,000 that we are able to use however we wish. So I appreciate both of those donations. Several field trips on the list. So I would take the whole list, or if anybody wants to ask questions first, you may. If you want to pull something out for special consideration, you may.
Motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Anybody want to have anything clarified before we vote? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. A lot of fun field trips in that list. Good opportunities for kids. So board business, do you have any?
I do not have any board correspondence, not necessarily board related. I will say just a reminder to our families, parent-teacher conferences are this week. So please take advantage of meeting your students, our students, teachers, and understanding where they are. It's early in the school year still, but we know this time always comes. So to our community members, or to our parents, please take advantage of parent-teacher conference and know that in-person is still an option if you so choose, but also virtual to consider that level of flexibility if so needed by our parents. So that is, want to remind our parents of that.
I just have a couple committees that have been scheduled for next month. First of all, a reminder of our tax levy meeting, which is October 30th. It's a Thursday night at 5:30. DEI committee will be meeting November 3rd at 5:30. Budget committee is meeting November 7th at 8 a.m. And then we have our first curriculum presentations, which start at 4. We've already motioned that meeting in. It's November 17th at the Arboretum building. And then we just talked about our school funding sessions for November 19th. And those are the only meetings that I have to announce.
Just a quick point of clarity around the October 30th meeting. Rebecca reached out to Joan last week, and we're going to offer additional information to the board regarding high school planning. So typically that meeting is fairly short, if you can recall. We thought it would be appropriate to add that as an agenda item, but the only additional agenda item, to provide some additional information to you around where we are in terms of looking at high school planning and just the scope of where we are. We will not have dollar amounts associated with that. So just making sure you mark your calendar for being here a little longer than typical for the tax levy meeting.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, I think we're done for the night, so I would take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.